While the production of food has a very specific audience, the consumption of food is something that interests everyone. The pandemic, supply sources, the economy, changing consumer tastes, and labor availability have caused the restaurant industry to evolve and adapt at a pace never seen before. To give us a glimpse of what is coming, Adella Jones, UMSL's Chief of Staff, has invited a couple of local restaurant stars to share their perceptions on what's coming up in the future. Adella?
Hello, everybody. Adella Jones. I'm Chief of Staff here at UMSL in the Chancellor's office. I was here at the first meeting in November with the Chancellor and Brian. And we talked about, this is where that was born. They'll tell you it was somewhere else, but it was there. And I am so excited. It's happened, it's here, we're in the room. And dinner was so cool yesterday. It was such a good fellowship. So thank you for coming to our campus. Thank you so much. Now this is the fun part, and we get into my area of expertise. I can bring what I know to this. I eat. I eat. I dream about eating. I do not eat when I'm depressed. I celebrate by eating. It is a religious experience. My heaven has a dinner table, and there are friends and family around it. And the menu is the bomb. I love it. Therefore, I hold in high regard those people who put their love and heart into opening a restaurant. And all the science that we've talked about globally here in St. Louis, they put it on a plate, and then they put that plate before you, before me. And I get excited, and I have fun with friends and with family. So we have two such restaurateurs here with us today. So let's start. I'm gonna take this seat. No, they told me to take. I'm taking this seat. I'm taking this one. So we have with us Bethany, Budde. And Bethany is the proprietor of SqWires Restaurant and Market. It's in South St. Louis for those who are not from here. And if you are from here, you need to get there. And then we have Cathy Jenkins, who just to hop up the road from UMSL has Cathy's Kitchen. She and her husband, Jerome, started this restaurant about 10 years ago.
Yes.
And I've been to both of these restaurants, and it's great, and I got to go back on my diet. This was all in preparation for this. So thank you, welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the gifts that I'm not giving away, but I just want to show you a little bit about what these ladies are doing. This is coffee beans. You can get these at SqWires. Mm-hmm. And so I went to Cathy's Kitchen Saturday, and I got me some red beans and rice, and I had a few little bits left over, which almost turned into a fight in my home on Sunday, because my husband, Reggie, went in the refrigerator and got caught. He had the look of guilt. I'm like, no, you put that down. That's my pre-dinner. And so Cathy, among many things, they have sauces that you can go there and you can buy. When you get your lunch and stuff, you get one of these to go. And then there are the cookies that Bethany provides. So I also got some carrot cake as an impulse item yesterday when I went and got lunch at SqWires. Walked out and left my carrot cake. I said, it's not right to come up to this lady and ask her to bring my carrot cake tomorrow.
She got 2 pieces now.
But I got to do it, I got to do it. So she was so kind to bring that. So again, we're gonna dive on in. We only have 30 minutes, and Nicole, somebody's gonna keep me honest on time. But like I said, I just have such high regard. The courage that it must take to say, I'm going to open my doors and I'm gonna cook for these people. And I pray that they like it, that they love it. So Bethany, how did you start?
Sure. It still scares me every day. So I grew up in a family that cooked. I grew up in a family that had a lot of kids, and we each had to take a night. Mm-hmm. And the night that we didn't have, we had to do the dishes. So I begged for those cooking nights. So I took all of my siblings' cooking nights. Grandparents, parents, very good cooks. Nothing fancy, just home cooking.
So when did you say, I'm gonna?
I worked in the private club industry here in St. Louis for a number of years, and when you're in that industry, you have 3,000 bosses, and I decided that I wanted one boss. Yep, and that's really the reason.
Well, cool.
Yeah, so that was 22 years ago.
Wow, that's great.
Yep.
You still roll, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Cathy's, you're interesting. You just got, this is the soul food part of how did you start your business? How did you start your business?
Well, I started off as a domestic engineer, and I kind of got tired of that job. And I kind of had a knack for cooking. I was just very good at it. And I said to my husband, Jerome, I said, I'm so tired of doing what I'm doing. I want something about me. I mean, my kids are getting older. I don't have to be at home all the time. And we have a chemical business. And pretty much I felt like everything was kind of about my husband. And I felt like I needed to express myself. And he says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to open a restaurant. He says, what type? I said, I don't know. I think I want to travel. And basically, I kind of geo-mapped, kind of like you guys are doing. We went on vacation for the entire summer. We drove over 6,000 miles. We started St. Louis, we made our way to Florida, did the entire bottom of the United States, came up through California, and we made our way all the way back to St. Louis, and we based it on the Food Channel. The Food Channel and the Travel Channel, every place you should stop and eat along the way. And that's kind of what we did, and everything that I loved made the menu. And I met several chefs at the restaurant for recipes that I really loved. They shared them with me, and I learned something very valuable, that recipes are not secrets, only if you're kind of at Keebler or somewhere. But when you're cooking at home, people love to share because one recipe is built up on another recipe and they become your own. And I just really got great at it. And so I said, well, come on, we're gonna do it. I said, let's start it. And I did it on Facebook. I said, okay, I'm gonna do it 3 days. And I did it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12 to 3 because I had to pick my kids up from school, and it exploded. I didn't expect it to shoot off to the sky like that, and it did. And I said, well, you know what, we're gonna have to open a restaurant. And I went to the restaurant, met the guy. I knew him because I always put my money in my community. So it turns out the guy, wine bar I used to go to, he literally owned the spot that I was in, and he gave me Cathy's Kitchen on a handshake. And I've been there for 10 years now, and it was a culinary experience that I wanted to share with everyone when they came into Cathy's Kitchen. So this is my mapping of food across America, and I got to share that experience through my menu. So that's exciting for me.
So when I say soul, I mean they put their hearts and soul into this restaurant to, you know, to do the travel and to go to that level of detail. So tell me, you know, I'll start with you, Cathy. What have you learned about people and their habits and eating and going out, and what are the trends?
Oh gosh, I've learned being in the restaurant business that food really does trend, no different than anything else. I was sharing with someone, I can remember with the bread, everybody wanted to talk about ciabatta. Ciabatta this, ciabatta that. Now we're on brioche. We're on the brioche buns now, you know. So food trends just like everything else. And I realized too, being in the restaurant business, that more food, because of shortages that are happening, that they try to guide the trends away from the shortage so we can kind of accept new food. I saw them printing chicken tenders, you know, literally making them, and they were talking about how great they are, how healthy they are. They're great to the environment. They're not, no antibiotics. They went through all this. And I said, wow, so is this where technology is leading us in food because of the food shortages? And I said, wow, I've got to stay on top of this, because I found out through COVID was the first thing that opened my eyes to what was happening with the shortage in food. We kind of, being in Ferguson, which is about 30,000 people live here, a little bit maybe over, that we're kind of a food desert. Kind of was listening to what the farmers were saying up here, the last panel, and really out of those 30,000 people that are here, we only have 2 really major grocery stores. The rest of them are little bitty markets. And when COVID kind of hit and people couldn't get food the way that we could at first, I said, wow, so I had to changed kind of things I did in the restaurant because I couldn't get food in the restaurant as well. So if I couldn't get it, I knew the people living on the outside, the residents couldn't get it. The grocery stores were pretty much empty. And so I kind of opened up my restaurant to the community. I said I was going to feed people for free for a whole year. You know, so I had lunch for kids that, you know, they couldn't get free lunch because they weren't going to school. I did a lot of different things, but when people came in there, they really couldn't get food. And by us being a restaurant, we had a little more access than what they did. So I was able to provide a service, even though it was short to me as well. And even before COVID, being in the Black community trying to get food is difficult. And so I outsource my food. I probably go to about 4 different places to get the food that I need to maintain the restaurant. And so I've kind of, you know, figured that out along the way, how the food is affected in this circle of life kind of thing.
And so Bethany, you've worked with like the same farmers for over some years. Tell me, are they
Sure.
all local or are they
Right.
regional?
So we have been fortunate since we opened to have some relationships, and I still have relationships with 6 local farmers that we currently still purchase from. It has become a bit of a challenge because we used to buy direct from them, and now they have sourced their products back into the community through distributors. And not all of them, but most of them. So it's become a little bit more of a challenge for us to, you know, be able to hand pick like we were able to before, because now, you know, those farmers are getting handpicked by lots of different restaurants now. So those relationships, I believe, are going to, you know, stay strong, but you just see the challenges on how we're able to get those foods now. In regards to the other side of our buying, which is commodity, and, you know, from, you know, the big box store, so to speak, that also has its challenges because of transportation costs, shortages on their staffing. They're buying products that are not local here seasonally or regionally. So they're buying from California, and then they are moving to Arizona and then Mexico. So the costs for those items, of course, are rising as well. So, you know, as much as we can, sourcing local is what we're doing. We do some local growing ourselves. We have an urban garden, so we're able to provide ourselves with all of our herbs all summer long, so we're not paying the $18, you know, that you could. So that's we see changes, and we see that there's definitely going to be a lot of the indoor growing. I have maybe 1 week out of the year for the last 3 years that I have not gotten tomatoes because of the farmers that we use, more centered in the middle of the state.
So tell me about how that shapes your menu. You know, when do you
Sure.
go, ooh, I've got to take this out, or I got to change that up?
During those times that we don't have tomatoes, we won't serve tomatoes. So we will take it off. We do have issues with sourcing product that's fresh. Say you have a Caesar salad and you're using romaine, and the romaine in California or Arizona is in between growing seasons, or there was rain or there was drought. You know, it comes off the menu.
Yeah.
We end up substituting.
Yeah.
Be creative. Communicate to the customer. That's the big part.
And so, Cathy, remember we were talking Saturday about some of the sourcing, like you know, all seasoning salts are not equal. You know, you would think they are, but they're not.
They're not.
But and even in the St. Louis region, West County is going to offer you something in a store that maybe you're not going to get in North County. And how do you work that out in terms of application to your menu?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, because I always say the best invention to me is the internet, you know, and it has made the world a whole lot smaller. So you can order things now. You know, you have Instacart, you have a lot of things. First, that was a problem of driving and getting there, you know, it pulling me away from the restaurant. But now, because of technology, I can order it, but I don't like it. You know, I don't like it. I wish, because like you said, drives the cost. You're paying for the drivers, you're paying, which makes you have to increase the price of your menu. And because of that, what she was just saying about tomatoes, taking things off, you have to change your menu. It has totally made us at Cathy's Kitchen go digital. We don't even have paper menus anymore because we have to have the flexibility of being able to change prices like that, or to take something off the menu. So we're able to take something off the menu, and when we do it, it's instantly off DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, because we've decided because of all these shortages, we have to run our business different. So we have to be instant. So that's how it's kind of, it has made us and forced us to use technology.
You know, earlier today, just to pivot a little bit, we were talking about globally, you know, the impact of geopolitical environments and climate and its impact on food and food production. At the local level, you know, Cathy was smack dab in the middle of the Ferguson uprising. Your restaurant, which was your second location, you know, it was right there, and you were impacted. So, I mean, just give us a little bit of a glimpse into that, being a local restaurant owner and front and center.
Yeah, well, we were definitely front and center when the outbreak with Mike Brown and all that happened, and the unrest. And I'll tell you, I had built a rapport with those protesters before that happened. You know, they were coming around, I got to know them, and a lot of great people. And Cathy's Kitchen, at night that the unrest happened, I had gotten a message on my Facebook page that says, Cathy, I think they're coming for your restaurant, so there's nothing I could do about it. And someone sent me a video, but in the video that they sent me, all those protesters, I used to take my cart and roll it down the street, and I would feed them. And those protesters protected Cathy's Kitchen. So it was the first time that the narrative of the protesters were shown in a positive light. Everything you had seen about them was totally negative. And so I did suffer one while someone had picked up the table I had in front of the restaurant and thrown it through the window. But on the video, they're literally wrestling the guy down, and you could hear them screaming, "No, not Cathy's." And so the next day when we came to assess the damages, had no idea that I was going to meet Aeneas Williams. He's standing right in front of my restaurant, cutting plywood to board up my window. And so when we walk inside the restaurant, totally intact. I mean, perfectly, other than the glass in the window there. And the reporter said, "Wow, so you're Cathy, you know Aeneas Williams?" I just met him right here. I said, "But hey, I've got this video if you want it." So I gave him the video. And lo and behold, Anderson Cooper gets the video. And he's like, "Oh, I got to have you on the show." So I went on the show, and so he showed the entire world that it was just people standing up for their rights. So it was a pivotal moment for our restaurant to get worldwide recognition. And we kind of really haven't slowed down since then. Everyone comes in the restaurant. So I love that I was a part of that my kindness, that they paid it forward to me, you know, so I didn't know that was going to happen. So that was a blessing for me.
And Aeneas Williams, for those who aren't from St. Louis, I mean, he's a former St. Louis Ram.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. And he has a church, a ministry in St. Charles. And that's, I had never heard that story, Cathy. That's incredible. And so again, you know, from both of you, coming through a pandemic. I mean, Bethany, when was it that you went, "It's about to change"?
March 15th, 2020. Yeah, we knew it right away. I have to tell you, that weekend we were very, very busy, and my mother said something to me. She said, "None of these people are keeping distance from each other." And that wasn't talked about yet. The next day it was talked about. And when the city of St. Louis, you know, put out the information that, you know, what this pandemic could be doing, or it wasn't quite a pandemic yet, I had to step back and say, I'm gonna close down. We didn't have to close down yet, but I thought, you know, I need to take a week. I need to figure out what's gonna be safest for the staff, safest for our guests, safest for our family. And so we closed for an entire 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yep.
Was that a hard
It was
conversation?
very,
You had to...
It was very hard. My husband and I, we made sure that our staff had food, that they had as much pay as we could give them. We did a lot of interior work that only 4 or 5 of us needed to be in there for, so we were able to do shifts and keep folks employed a bit. But yeah, it happened right away. It looked like it was something was gonna change.
Wow.
Yep.
And Cathy, how did you guys walk that walk?
Oh my God, now we didn't close. And now, let me go back a little bit. When the unrest happened with Mike Brown, after that, everyone was coming all over the world. It was great, it was exciting. Then all of a sudden, no one was coming to Ferguson. Totally dead. We were barely keeping our doors open in the business. No one wanted to come. They thought it was dangerous. They thought it was all this. So we had to come up with an idea, which my husband came up with. Jerome, he's over there. Wave at him, Jerome.
Hey, Jerome.
He says, we need to introduce delivery or something into the business so we can get more money into the restaurant. And back then, Uber Eats was the only one, and they didn't want to offer it in our community. And so we just kind of stayed at it, and they finally said they will do it. And then once Uber Eats and Postmates, everyone else came on, we were the first in our community to have that. And that, because we had that when the pandemic happened, we were already 3 steps ahead of everyone. No one really wanted to change the old ways of how they did a restaurant. They wanted everyone to only come in, sit down, and dine. But because we were already in a crisis before that, we were already ready to set up for delivery. Oh gosh, we couldn't believe how many tickets we had. I mean, we had so many, we never closed. And the great thing about that was I had my family. So, people were afraid to send their kids and stuff, which I understood. But I always say they made COVID be the super villain of all times. It could stay on surfaces 72 hours. It could leap tall buildings, It could do everything. So it was the scariest thing you had ever seen. So I understood why people didn't want to send their family to work. But I had my family. So my kids were home from college because everybody was afraid of what was happening. So I had a crew, my family. And so we were able to keep our doors open the entire time. And like I had said, then we were able to feed the community too. So I made chicken noodle soup. I did everything, hot dogs. I did everything for people to come and get free food because I understood the crisis we were in. So yeah, we were able to grow during COVID.
Nicole, how am I doing? Okay. What was like the mistake you put on a menu and went, I thought it would work, but it didn't?
Oh God. My brother-in-law, Matt, chicken adobe.
Matt?
No, I'm kidding. Wow. I mean, I think, honestly, there's been some faux pas, definitely. I would have to say that we tried our best to replicate a spanakopita, with phyllo dough and just doing it right. We're not a Greek restaurant, I promise you. That was it. That was the bad one.
Anything for you, Cathy? Or?
You know what? And it didn't do well, but I thought it was a great sandwich. We did a fried green tomato sandwich. Who doesn't like fried green tomatoes?
Yeah,
right.
And
I just knew.
BLT.
And I said, you know what? I said, gosh, they're gonna, the vegetarians and they're gonna love this. Didn't do anything. Only I loved it.
So what's your favorite ingredient? What's the one thing that you go, I'm inspired, I can do this or I can do that? For me, it's a tomato for some reason.
That you can
If
make
it's
the most
if it's a
out
tomato
of.
that has grown out of a garden, I am on the sauce, I am making soup, I am inspired, Is there anything that kind of like really
Chicken.
pushes your soul like that?
Chicken. I feel like you can do everything with chicken. You can soup, salad, sandwiches, and you can make it all taste different. You can season it up, and then you can make it Italian, and now it's Mexican. It's Spanish. You can do so much with chicken. I love chicken.
Yeah, I like chicken. And I like eggs. My friend Chris, he has eggs, he has chickens. And I'm like, hey, Chris, 1, 2, what can I get? An egg, a fresh egg is the most wonderful experience. I'm so easy. I told you I like to eat, so I'm an expert in this. It's scientific. So Bethany, what's your favorite ingredient?
Oh, I would have to say artichokes.
Really?
You think about an artichoke and all you can do is steam them. That is not true. Cut them in half, you can braise them in stock, then you can eat the entire artichoke. You're not, missing out on, the stems can be eaten then, they're super tender. And then you've got the artichoke hearts that could go in all kinds of other different recipes. I mean, there's a really great use for them.
Cool. What's your favorite restaurant? Here, anywhere in the world?
So it is not open any longer, and it's local.
That was safe.
Yep. Duff's in the West End.
Yeah.
That was our go-to once a week.
A lot of people like that. Yeah. Cathy, yours?
I do have Bush's Grove. I used to love
Oh,
Bush's
yeah.
Grove. Yeah, I used to love there. I used to get the pecan tilapia with Cobb salad and the duckling spring rolls.
Nice.
I love that place.
Yesterday it was funny when we had dinner. It was like, you know how difficult it's got to be to cook for a chef or a restaurant owner? I mean, I wouldn't want to do it.
It's not that difficult.
But they're very gracious.
Yeah. We both had a great time last night.
It was fun.
We had a good time.
So what's your go-to food? Like mine is peanut butter and jelly. If I had one food, after the nuclear attack, it's got to be peanut butter and jelly.
That's a good one.
I think I'm nuts. Lots of different nuts. Yep.
Well, mine used to be nuts and popcorn, and I totally found out I had allergies, food allergies. And I honestly feel like I'm still trying to find my way. I miss them so much, I'm like, nothing's that good and crunchy, and it's, not fattening. I don't want to eat cheese. It's very difficult to find for me right now. And I literally just found that out probably about a year ago. So kind of like y'all like the peanut butter. So I'm like in a bad spot right now.
You got to get claimed by
I'm in
some
a bad
easy
spot.
food out there. Okay, I think I'm almost wrapped up, but if there's a question out there, I do want to get you guys engaged. If anybody just had a burning question for like, where's your restaurant at? How can I get there tonight? I tried to help you.
Great.
But no, it's really been great talking to you. Again, I said, I love a restaurant. I love, the fact that people have that courage. I just would not. Can barely cook in my home and have you come. So I admire what you do and what you contribute to the world, and wish you the very best. And nobody look in my bag, because you cannot have it. I will share some cookies, but thank you so much.
Good work. All right.
Thank you, Adella, Bethany, and Cathy.